The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Science and Industry and the Honourable Member for McPherson.
Well, thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I'm delighted to be part of the jobs debate that we're having here today. What I ask is that it's a sensible debate, because the issue that we are discussing is one of the most important and significant issues that I believe that this parliament has to discuss and will discuss into the future. Jobs are our future, and we need to make sure that we are doing everything that we possibly can to set ourselves up for a future that is strong, that is prosperous, and that we are looking after future generations and making sure that they have the opportunities that they deserve to go into worthwhile, rewarding employment. In talking about jobs, we really have to assess where we are now and look at the jobs of today and start to see whether or not we can make some predictions as to what the jobs of the future are. Clearly that's very difficult. It involves quite a bit of crystal ball gazing, because if you take yourselves back in time to about 10 years ago and you look forward to today, who would have thought back then that if you were going to put product onto the market that you would be consulting with someone who could design an app for you that could do search engine optimisation? That would have been impossible to determine at that point in time. So as we stand here now and we try and determine what the jobs of the future are, we can only look at a bit of past behaviour, but also look at what is happening in the technology space, because that's where the development is going to be into the future. And we know from a recent PwC report that it's estimated that 5.1 million, or 44% of current Australian jobs, are at risk from digital disruption over the next 20 years. That is a massive impact on jobs here in Australia. This gives us an opportunity that we can take, that we can pick up, that we can run with, because we know that digital disruption is already happening. We know that it is going to continue to happen. So we need to get on board and look at what the skills are that we will need for the jobs of the future. And clearly, I'm very interested and delighted that we are having such strong debates and strong discussions at the moment about STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths, because they are definitely the skills that we need for the future. International research is certainly telling us that 75% of the fastest growing occupations now require STEM skills or knowledge. This is clearly a very key area for us and one that we must develop. If we could convince just 1 in 100 people to shift into STEM roles, the PwC estimates that this could increase our GDP by $57.4 billion over 20 years. So we know that we must be working in this area. I think we all recognise, particularly everyone here who's in the House at the moment, that we have to become productive. We have to look at our modern economies. We have to look at joining business and scientists and educators and policymakers together so that we can make STEM a priority, and that we can certainly work our way forward into the jobs of the future. We are certainly committed to a coordinated approach to STEM from the government, and we are committed to making sure that we work together to ensure the prosperity and the competitiveness that this country so desperately needs. Over the last few months, in my role as the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Industry and Science, I've taken a very active role in STEM. I'm fully aware that this is a complex problem. It's not a problem that has just one simple, magical solution. It's important that we actually do the work to determine what the problem is. As I've said, it's very complex. One of the key things that we have to do is look at how we're going to influence the students to willingly take on study in the STEM subjects, and that is probably influencing the key influences. One of those is certainly the teachers, so we know that we need to do some work with teachers. We also need to influence the career advisors and make sure that they're aware of the jobs of the future so that they can steer the students into the right paths. We know that we have to influence the principals, because they are the ones that are out there promoting their students, their academic results, and we don't want them encouraging their students to take an easy course simply because that will give them the best possible ATAR and OP. And we need to influence the principals, the parents, because they are the ones that are at home with these kids, encouraging them to get the best possible score, to set themselves well for a tertiary education. So we have to make sure that we are making progress in influencing the influencers, and that is step one in resolving this issue.
Order